Hey there everyone, and welcome to week 5 of SGU's Easter series, Influence. This week we're looking in Acts at the story of Barnabas and Paul, who at the time went by the name of Saul. So Saul was persecuting members of the church by starting riots and arresting followers. And we see in Saul's story how he had conflict within him, but he continued to threaten followers of Christ. But then, Saul was traveling and Jesus got his attention. In Acts 9, verse 3-9, it says, "As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, 'Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?' 'Who are you, Lord?' Saul asked. 'I am Jesus, whom you are persecuting,' he replied. 'Now get up and go into the city, and you will be told what you must do.' The men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound but did not see anyone. Saul got up from the ground, but then he opened his eyes. He could see nothing, so they led him by hand into Damascus. And for 3 days he was blind. He did not eat or drink anything. It was at this moment Saul was extraordinarily transformed. He'd become aware of his wrongdoings and regretted all of his past actions against the church. He followed the Lord's call and went on to become baptized and began learning from the disciples. However, when Saul came into the lives of the disciples, they, understandably so, were very cautious of his intentions and his motives. But despite this, Barnabas knew Saul was sent by Jesus and was ready to serve the Lord for a greater purpose. It was in this moment that Barnabas encouraged Saul to join him on a journey to the apostles in Jerusalem. And this was a long journey, so I can really only imagine the encouraging words and wisdom and conversations that Barnabas shared with Saul on this journey. I feel like this journey was just set up perfectly to be a great opportunity for Barnabas to really pour into Saul and give him that encouragement that he needed to fulfill his purpose and to really see his purpose with his own eyes. But once they arrived in Jerusalem and they were among the apostles, Barnabas clearly showed his support for Saul, and in doing so encouraged the apostles to listen and trust this man who was once seen as an enemy. It was later in Acts and shortly after this that Saul's name was changed to Paul, which is just another representation of his transformation. As I was reading this story, you clearly see how Jesus chose Paul to bring the gospel to the world, but Paul couldn't have achieved this without Barnabas' encouragement. And while Barnabas encouraging Paul is essential to this story, what I think is also really important to notice is how Barnabas is also encouraging the apostles to trust and to listen to Paul's teachings. So as I was preparing this message and learning more about Barnabas, I learned that Barnabas' given name was actually Joseph. However, kind of like Saul transformed into Paul, Barnabas' name was also changed to better reflect him, as Barnabas means son of encouragement. So through and through, Barnabas lived up to his name and went about encouraging and equipping others to live and lead in the name of the Lord, and really touch the lives of many with the word of the Lord. And here with Paul, we can see how that little bit of encouragement from Barnabas just overflows and touches the lives of the many that he preached to. I mean, I don't know if we can even really imagine how big that ripple effect really is, because after Jesus, Paul was such a strong influence on the world, all thanks to being pointed in the right direction. When I look at this story, I think that this is really the bottom line, and we can see how one little push in the right direction or even a tiny bit of encouragement is really spilling into the lives of many, and that this encouragement will continue to grow out and just keep touching and impacting the lives of so many people. It's just like here. We have a drop of food coloring that we put into a cup of milk, and by adding a few drops of food coloring, or what we'll call our encouragement, the milk now takes on this blue color. So then if we pour a little bit of this milk into our new cup of milk, this new cup of milk, if we stir it just a little bit, will also take on that blue color. And then if we pour a little bit of that milk into this new glass of milk, that color is now spread throughout the new glass and would continue to do so little by little, and so on if we continued spreading it down through different glasses of milk. But so again, the bottom line is that even a little bit of encouragement can go a long way, all because someone shared encouragement that now allows someone to now share their talent or share a blessing, and then it continues to trickle down as a person who has experienced that outcome of encouragement may then feel empowered to act in the name of the Lord, or even share what they saw and just share through that way of encouragement. They can share what they heard, they can share what they experienced with anyone else, and it will just continue to spread and impact the lives. And we too can act and encourage as Barnabas did. By playing the role of Barnabas, we can encourage anyone we encounter to lead a life like Jesus or use a gift or a talent that God has granted them. The opportunities for encouragement are endless, and the places where encouragement is needed are infinite. If you believe in, trust in, or see potential in someone that maybe they don't see in themselves, your touch of encouragement could open their eyes and start a ripple effect that reaches many. As I was writing this message, immediately I thought of a situation when I was encouraged and how it played out to touch the lives of many. So when I was in high school and I was sort of finding my footing in my walk of faith, Kristen Devan was hired as our theology teacher, and we very quickly became close friends and someone who I really confided in. And so as we were talking and getting to know each other, we were talking about how I felt like maybe I wasn't growing as a part of my faith as I wanted to, and maybe I was falling off my path a little bit. We talked about how I didn't really enjoy the church that I was going to at the time, and then she encouraged me to come to Nativity and just check out Mass one Sunday. And hear the music, meet the community, and see if it was a church that I felt like I could continue growing my faith with. And so, as I'm sure you can guess, that I did that. And then when I was in college, she again encouraged me to use some of my gifts and talents by leading in Time Travelers, which I again did and immediately loved it. So by now I have really started to find my place within the Nativity community, and then one day in church they started talking about the opportunity for mission trips coming up. And so without hesitation, I went home and I talked to my mom and I said I want to go to Haiti. I knew this was something I'd always wanted to do. And so I did that also. I went and had another amazing experience, and growing with the Haiti missions team and those in the community of Monarch. Just, some of us who went to Haiti, we even started a small group together. So there's another way how I got even more involved. But this story continues even a little bit more when, as a result of going to Haiti and leading in Time Travelers, I had attended the Nativity retreat led by Father Nicholas. And when we were taking a break, we were sitting right out front on the steps just talking, and he started sharing about this new opportunity to start small groups for college students. And he expressed his interest in having me lead within it, and before I could even think about it, the words were just coming out of my mouth, and I said yes. And so here I am now sharing with all of you. But here you can even see within my own story how I experienced that initial bit of encouragement from Kristen, and it trickled into so many other areas where I was able to teach, share, grow, and learn, and also continue to encourage others. I experienced encouragement along the way and at the start of my individual journey. So this encouragement came from others along the way, and then I even began encouraging myself, like expressing that I wanted to go to Haiti and saying yes to Father Nicholas. Because while it's amazing and essential for others to spark our stories with some encouragement, we also need to speak positively and fill our lives with encouragement. Hebrews 10 verse 24 to 25 says, "And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together, as some are in habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day coming." Because while we need to lift each other up with encouragement, sometimes we can get really caught up in our busy lives with work, school, homework, friends, you name it. But sometimes we then forget to encourage ourselves and even others also. But how can we spread encouragement to these others if we don't first encourage ourselves? So I challenge you this week to identify one person in your life whom you can encourage and share that encouragement. I also want you to be able to encourage you. So take 5 or 8 minutes, it doesn't need to be long, just to reflect on where you may need encouragement in your own life, and find a way to also encourage yourself during the week. Maybe this encouragement is to get that assignment done ahead of time or on time, or to work out, or to eat healthy, or whatever it could be that you need in your life. You can ask for encouragement from God, from others, or you can give yourself some encouragement in any way that suits you. For me, I try to set alarms just to encourage myself to take breaks during my workday and my school day, just to get up and move a little bit. I also text with my mom and my sister to encourage each other to work out, go for a jog, or read each day. And it doesn't always happen, but it's always a good try. So this week, find how you can encourage others and give yourself that encouragement too.